All right, we're back. Judd'z Budz, episode 139, the Gretzky plus Devin Dubnyk episode. As always, your host, Spoke Z, joined by my good buddy, Mr. at State of Hoppy. Hoppy, how we doing? How was your weekend? You're definitely not flustered at all as we start this program today.
I'm already over it. It's all good. Weekend was fine. A little bit of sleep regression. Not for myself because sleep does not exist, but for the little one. But was out with him during the Vikings game. Rare occurrence for me just because we needed to get some stuff. Wife wasn't available, so went and did it. As I leave the Edina Target, I see this monstrous human who there's a female with him who looks like a midget just because of the comparison. It was definitely Zach Bogosian and his wife. He is so fucking big, and like she's like not she's not small for like what I think a typical woman's height would be, but just like the two of them standing next to each other, I'm like, dear God, like the contrast is insane. But also, bravo to him. Like going during a Vikings game is definitely the time where you're least likely to be noticed by anyone.
Yeah, he just gets it. But yeah, like you said too, I think like 80% of the population would look so small next to someone or next to Zach Bogosian because he's not only tall, like he is like a woolly mammoth. Like he is big, he is massive.
You know what though? Like I would not have even noticed them if not for the height discrepancy. Like he's not like you don't look at him and immediately go, oh shit, that's Zach Bogosian. Like he's pretty like unassuming. Like yes, he's a tall guy, but like I had to stop and think like, whoa, should I know who this is? Examine. Oh shit, yes, that is who it is. But if he was walking in by himself, I probably like 50-50 would have noticed. So
yeah. I mean, he is an animal. I know, like, just listening to the players who have played with him before in interviews, like, they're like, that motherfucker pretty much just lives at the rink or the gym, and sometimes he's home. And he is just a fucking beast, and he's got the beard to go along with it, too. Like, yeah, he is a large human being. So anyone would look very small next to him.
Right. Yeah. Pretty interesting, to say the least. But, yeah, so that's... I don't know. That's pretty much all that's new with me. What's up with you?
I'm very happy that I remembered because so this weekend something happened and I was like, I need to remember to start the podcast with this. And I always forget every time something like this happens or anything funny that I want to start with. I was so on Saturday morning, I was at the gym. I just got there. Humble brag, CC chicks. And I am just stretching because 90% of the time I'm at the gym, I'm literally just stretching so my body doesn't like disintegrate. And out of nowhere, it's like the weather's fine. It's not even like cold outside at all. The gym lost power. And so like lights go out. And this is why I would die for the boys 10 days a week. Unprompted, like power cuts out. One dude goes, whoa. And some other dude just goes, hey-oh. It's like, hey, oh, hey, hey. And like every dude at the gym just starts going, woo. And I was in tears. Like,
can I get you yee-haw in there?
Dude, everyone's like, hey, hey, hey. And the place was fired up. It was the funniest 2 minutes. Like,
and then Z found himself in a rave. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then just like I heard some other chick, like 10 feet away from me, just goes, "What the fuck is going on right now?" And I was like, "Guys are being dudes, all right? Just let us cook. Like, it's fine."
Guys are being dudes.
Easily the highlight of my weekend. I was a big fan of that. Everyone just had to leave, and they were like, "We might have power again tomorrow. We'll let you know." And I was like, "You're not gonna let anyone know. What are you, fucking like text someone? Hey, good news, we got power." Also, be very funny if the person has to get there at 4 a.m. is the one who's like, "Fuck, we don't have power. I just came here for no reason." Yeah. But anyways, yeah, I wanted to at least remember to bring that one up because it was very funny. I had a great time for 2 minutes. And then I left the gym pretending that I actually did something. I was literally stretching for probably 15 minutes, and then I had to leave. But everyone in the locker room getting their shit, that I don't know how, but every single time I am leaving the gym, even if I am one of 6 people in there, 3 of us are leaving at the same time, and somehow we've selected the 3 lockers that are directly next to each other. I don't know how this happens every time, but it does.
I mean, ballpark how many lockers there are total?
There's fucking like 150.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's insane. I don't know how it happens every time. But this time, no lights. Everyone's in there. It was insane. The locker room trying to get through. There was like 18 dudes with like their iPhone flashlights creating a path for everyone else.
But really, it's just like, oh, we got lights.
I half expected it to erupt again. I like stalled on the way out. I was like, maybe the fellas are about to get rowdy again. But it's just great collaboration in the locker room. The light path was great, but that was pretty much the highlight of my weekend. Other than that, I was pretty much just at the drop literally the whole time.
So just normal weekend outside of the fact that you went to a gym. Cole, this is definitely a Josh Allen stan podcast, so we support you. Z won't even watch football, but he still likes Josh Allen, so
it's a good point.
Some say true. So. But all right, we might as well just jump right into things here. We got some NHL talk. We got some not weird wild talk. A lot of probably lean a little bit heavier towards prospect talk this week. And actually a pre-recording for the Fellowship of the Rink podcast for the hot take segment because Joe's out of pocket this week. So I'm just kind of piecemealing everything together. We're going to have Eric Vigo on talking about Gopher hockey. We're going to have Wes Walls on talking about the Wild. Me and Z talking about stupid shit and getting people angry. Because apparently a couple of them last week got people riled up. So
really?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get into that a little bit later here, actually. But we'll save that for when we get to the topics. First, we got to talk about this, Z. Ovi. He is turning back the clock. He is... is he going to hit Gretzky before Christmas?
Apparently, we had a hat trick the other night. He's now 29 away from tying Gretzky's record, which, by the way, Wayne Gretzky might be the coolest person to have that record because he's legitimately very excited that Ovechkin's going to do it. And, like, he wants to be in the building. He says... Do
you think other people wouldn't?
What?
Do you think most other players wouldn't?
No, that's not what I mean. I mean more so, like, just when I listen to him talk about it, it's different than, like... Excited. It's not just like, yeah, it's going to be cool. But, like, he goes into, like, what it was like when he overtook, like, Gordie Howe and, like, how – oh, wow, how? Haha. Like, having those conversations, like, with his dad in years past, too. Like, he is just, like, the coolest dude in the world. And, like, you can tell it's genuinely, like, he is very excited for this to happen and – to be in the building when it happens. And you just know like 60% of like the Canadian broadcasters are probably going to cry when it happens. Not like, this is amazing. I'm so glad I got to see this.
Correct.
This is the worst thing that's ever happened to the world. That's how a lot of them feel.
Has Hockey Canada ever been in a worse place?
They're in eternal hell, actually. But he's going to do it this year. I mean, he's got 29 to go. They have 65 games left.
They've got 54 games until they play in Minnesota. So it'd be so cool if he's like 2 goals off it when they come here. That's what I'm like praying for.
Ideally, he puts up like a ton in the next like couple weeks, and then hits a drought right before Minnesota and does it in Minnesota. That would be.
It'd be fitting. I mean. It'd be very fitting.
It feels like that would happen too.
Dude, how about on the media tour this summer over in Europe? They asked 2 of Ovechkin's teammates, one of them being Rasmus Sandin, and he's like, "Not this year, next year." And like his teammate looks over, and like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Was it Sandin or was it Ferravari? Was the other one that he was with?
No, I think it was like, I think Sandin said it, and that guy's like, "Dude, he'll hit it this year."
Yeah, I remember that.
He's like, "I don't know. I don't want to like say that he's gonna do it. Like, yeah, he'll do it, but next year, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I have it backwards. I thought for sure it was Sandin.
I can't. No,
his teammate was like, "Dude, what?
You fucking idiot, dumbass."
So what's Sandin's playing time look like? That's how we'll know.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. That's like
dude, that's what Ovi needed. He needed to be nagged. It's like, you think I won't?
Yeah, because he had the slow year last year. Literally had fewer playoff goals in that series against the Rangers than Matt Rempe.
I thought you were just talking about his skating.
Well, I mean, but anyone that was like judging or like making assumptions about the rest of his career based on last year, sorely mistaken, because now that the Caps are legit very good, he is. I mean, it's terrifying.
Are you convinced? Are you convinced they're very good?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not questioning that they're playing very good. I'm questioning whether or not it's real.
Fair enough. I think at this point, I think the sample size is big enough.
Okay.
And again, like that, I'm also just saying that mostly because I said that they were going to be good at start before the season started. So I'm just going to pretend like I never in doubt.
See, you're also the guy that's like saying, "Oh, end the season for the Bruins. Oh, they're so bad." When like they're a playoff team right now, and you're looking across the aisle at me, fucking watching the Penguins. Like how? Like every time you hang on, I am asking as a friend in the future that whenever you say the Bruins should end their season, you should put in parentheses Penguins first.
They should put out a joint statement that they are both concluding their seasons.
Same colors. They're going to coach swap like
that. The Penguins tweet.
You got real excited about that.
I read that at the drop like 4 hours after they posted it. That was one of the funniest ways they possibly could have made any kind of announcement. Here it is. Pittsburgh Penguins on November 16th. Coach Sullivan confirms that Chris Letang will not play tonight, illness. And the remainder of the roster is a game time decision.
See, I didn't pay much mind to it. I understood what they meant, and I just kind of like glossed over, and everyone else is freaking out about it. I'm like, okay, I guess this is a big deal.
I knew exactly what that tweet meant, but like it's the funniest way they could have said
it. Is good.
It was so fucking like, like in my head picturing Sullivan should be like, fucking, I don't know, man, these guys. I'll let you know when I figure this shit out.
And immediately an article up on the Athletic, an Athletic article saying, another outbreak of the mumps in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I know, seriously.
Oh shit. But okay, yeah. So anyways, Capitals good. Bruins bad, but not as bad as Z says. Penguins very, very bad. And to that note, we have the anti-Penguins. Their young guy decided to give a big middle finger to Mr. Torts.
Yeah, Matvei Michkov. Again, as we all said, he was going to get scratched at some point.
Back-to-back games was something, though.
Back-to-back games. And I didn't know that it was, like, without even watching much Flyers hockey or paying attention to hockey Twitter as much as possible, other than like when I find the Penguins tweets, I didn't know that this wasn't just like Torts doing the classic, I'm going to scratch a rookie to like keep him honest thing. Like apparently there was some kind of exchange with Michkov and a coach, I think it was, on the bench, and that was part of it. And they wanted to deal with it. The fact that it was 2 games is interesting, but I mean, what a response. In the 3 games since he's come back from getting scratched, he's got points in all 3. First game, he had a goal and an assist against San Jose, I think. Then he scored again against Ottawa. And then he had 2 assists the other night. I don't remember who they were playing. And now he's leading rookie scoring. He is unbelievable. Like, I was very curious to see what the first 20, 25 games of him playing in the NHL would look like. Just, again, he's such a, like, given how high his ceiling is, he is a fascinating player, just like his frame, his style, like it's going to work. He's going to be a very good NHL player because of how ridiculously talented he is. But like, he's not a fast skater. He is pretty selective about when he puts effort into like the defensive side of the game, but offensively, my God, is he incredible, which like you could say about a lot of like young prospects or whatever. But like, he looks like he belongs, and then some. Like, he is legit. I think he's at 15 points now on a fucking horrible Flyers team. God, they stink too. But yeah, no, what a response after getting scratched. I think in the last 4 games he's played, he's got points, but I guess they don't count that as a streak if you miss games in between. So technically he's got.
That seems like bullshit though, because like, Phil Kessel was technically still on his Ironman streak when he just like didn't play games because he wasn't on a team. Seems a little.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Seems a little fucky, but whatever. Other thing that's a little weird, Z, we need to like address this for the group. I need you to like put good words on David Jiricek's name, because people were freaking out on our YouTube comments. Like, how stupid of a possibility it would be to trade Rossi for Jiricek. Like, clearly this is just trolling for clickbait. Like, there's no way that you would ever make a trade like that. And dude, fucking Russo on his podcast today flat out said like he's worried about Rossi being traded, but hey, maybe for a guy like Jiricek. And it's just like, God damn it. Like, why don't people get it? Like, tell people why. I'm not saying we should trade Rossi for Jiricek, but explain to people why Jiricek is not a washed-up garbage hockey player.
Well, I mean, there's a reason he got drafted where he got drafted. He's a 6'3", 200-pound right shot defenseman who like has a decent enough two-way game, but the offensive upside is ridiculous. He is a monster when he decides to be physical. But I mean, his AHL play since he's come over, like 2022, 23, 55 games, 38 points. Last year, 19 points, 29 AHL games. He also had 11 points in 14 AHL playoff games last year. And now he just like, obviously, I think part of it is like these young like European kids come over and just somehow are just like talking shit about the organization, and when they get scratched or like get sent down to the AHL, which is like very funny to me. For whatever reason, I feel like almost every time that results in people being like, yeah, he's terrible. Fuck him. And like, so automatically, like people want to have an issue with him, but like he is a ridiculously good hockey player. He's a 20-year-old defenseman. You like, we talk about, I don't know why they would want to give up on Marco Rossi outside of them just not being convinced they should go long-term with him, which I think everyone's in the same boat. That being said, if they do trade him in mid-season, that is mind-blowing to me, considering the fact that he is one of the only guys close to a point per game outside of like Kaprizov. Like, so they're getting like they're a elite defensive team right now that cannot get any kind of secondary scoring whatsoever. He is producing no matter who his line mates are, including games where he gets stapled to the bench. They'll throw him out for a shift and he scores. It's like,
why does Hines hate him? Why does Hines hate him?
I can't help but wonder if part of it is literally like they know that I given how convinced Russo is at this point, and just like, because I know Hines gave a long answer about Rossi that was like, yeah, this is good when he's on his game, blah, 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 and then just carved him. Like, it was weird. They're like, what, the kid that's what, is he third or fourth in the team in scoring right now? And again, it doesn't matter.
In 5-on-5 scoring, which he doesn't fucking play on the power play. So, like,
yeah, I think 14 points, like 12 are at even strength. So again, if they're trading him, I hope it's not mid-season, because that to me makes no sense when you are just needing more scoring. Like, who's I think 5th or 6th on the team is scoring is fucking Jake Middleton. Like, I mean, you need more offense. So the idea that you're going to trade Marco Rossi and give up on this kid who quite literally has done everything that they've asked of him and more, I don't like, that's crazy to me. But I mean, given the fact they want to, once the buyouts are up, even though they've used a bunch of the money already, they want to make some offseason moves. They've got guys like Yurov coming over, and they're convinced he's going to be a top 6 center for them.
It's just such a big gamble. Like, he's got it.
And again, I can understand not wanting to go long term with him right now.
Sure, but bridge him or whatever. But I'm with you. It's not happening during the season. Maybe it happens at the deadline if someone like gives you a deal you can't say no to. Yeah. Otherwise, this is a summer deal, and like anyone that watches Wild games doesn't want this trade to happen. But you just said it. If Russo keeps on bringing it up on a weekly basis, shit's happening. Like, he's gonna get traded. I'm convinced of it. There's no way he's not. When you have as good of a season so far as he's had, that's not saying he's had a flawless season, but like, what more can you ask of from this kid? And it's just sad. Like, I was so excited to see him like continue like building when everyone thought that he was already washed. And of course, everyone's saying that Juracek's washed, just like those same people were saying that Rossi was washed 2 years ago. And now they're like, wait, no. He's really, really good. Why would we ever consider trading him?
Yeah, I mean, and there's also legitimately no evidence that David Jiricek is washed. He's just like, they're not playing him in Columbus.
He's in fucking Columbus.
I mean, whatever. But of course, I think Jiricek has 1 point in 5 games. In the 5 NHL games he's played, I think it was an assist against the Wild. So, which is also very funny. But yeah, I mean, again, if you're moving on from Rossi, you're not really bringing back anyone that's going to help you this season. If there is some kind of like weird mandate that they go out and get active in free agency next year, you can't afford whoever you bring back. If you are going to move on from Rossi, you probably aren't wanting to add a ton onto the salary cap. And I think Jiricek's on his ELC through next season. And again, he's a right shot D-man who's significantly different than all your other defensive prospects. Like, he is like a souped up version of David Spacek and much more of a sure thing than David Spacek. So, I mean, that kind of a move to me would be something like, if, again, this is assuming that they have decided that they're going to move on from Marco Rossi.
Right.
Like, again, they're probably not bringing back anyone that's making a ton of money. You can invest in a right shot D-man long-term without adding onto the salary cap, and he's got legit crazy high upside, then that would be a fair enough target. It's weird that people were that mad. I never look at any of the comments or anything, so that's funny.
It was very strange, but whatever. And to your point on Spacek, literally this image right here was the first thing that popped up when I searched Spacek Czechia when we were doing our top 25 prospect rankings before the season. It's just like, if that doesn't tell you. But yeah, let's continue on the Wild talk. Which first, Z, are you a fan of cribbage? Do you know what it is?
I know what it is. I've played.
Okay.
I've
played
cribbage, taken part in cribbage matches. I don't even
cribbage matches. You mean Quidditch?
Quidditch.
Bet if he suggested a game of Quidditch, he'd come in his pants. Delicious beer from 9 Mile Brewing, 2 for his nibs. Very strange, though, Z. I'm going to read this to you, and you're probably going to get a concussion. Wheated whiskey, barrel-aged honeybush vanilla red ale, 9%.
Okay.
It's a lot of words. It's definitely it's a unique beer. I think it's delicious. Like, I could crush these. Well, I could not crush them. I could have a couple of them. If I crushed them, I'd be hurt. I'm going on the IR. Let's talk Wild, though.
I'm at that when I come out. I am. Oh, here's an announcement. I'm coming back out to Minnesota in about a month.
I mean, so you say you haven't even gotten tickets yet.
I don't know why you doubt me. You know,
I believe that you're coming, but you don't understand what's hinging on you giving me dates and times of arrival.
I already had the email.
No, that's already figured out. I hope you're going to be here for the Gopher games. I'm more worried about you want to go to a Wild game, and there's one on Sunday and one on Thursday, and I don't know when you're showing up and leaving. So, like, one of those games is getting traded for sure. So, you need to get me updates. We'll figure that out. You know what sucks even more, though, than waiting on Z to make plans? Literally losing a testicle.
Oh. I feel bad that I was...
Kessel empathizes.
Yeah, fair enough. Boy. I didn't realize... the clip, Zuccarello takes that Brock Faber slap shot to the groin. Immediately down the tunnel, does not come back. I feel bad that just I even ever laughed at it because apparently he immediately went in and got surgery and was there for a couple days. I don't even know if he's left the hospital.
He's probably puking up blood, dude. Ugh.
That is horrific. And I think I was either reading something Russo wrote or listening to him. I don't even know when this would have been, but he's I'm hoping, or the Wild are hoping it's just a couple weeks. I don't know how that's just a couple weeks. That was legitimately now knowing that he had to go to the hospital, get surgery, and had to stay for multiple nights. It is horrific. I hate it. God, that is brutal. But that clip was again, I just feel bad that I would even chuckled at it because I can't even imagine.
If you don't know,
I know. I'm saying now I'm just oh fuck yeah. But yeah, so he's up for the weeks. That means they're reuniting Eriksson at Boldy Kaprizov, which was in terms of just even strength, production, and expected goals last year, a top 5 line in the league when they played. It wasn't a ton compared to other lines, I guess, but enough.
Yep, and they're gonna have to score 4 goals a game or we're fucked.
Yeah, which means the second line was fascinating to me. What was it Johansson, Rossi, Hartman?
Yeah, Joe. Yeah,
that feels like the definition of a hodgepodge. Fuck it line. They're
watch them go off.
And they every time Marco Rossi scores, the fucking camera goes to Bill Guerin. He's like, "Fuck! God damn it! No, everyone else needs to score, not Marco."
No, if he's planning on trading him, why wouldn't you want him scoring?
Because he's just gonna get carved when he does trade him. He's like, guys,
because Bill Guerin's given 2 fucks about getting carved by anyone. As long as Leopold's happy with him, he doesn't give any shits at all.
Which, side note, one of my favorite ever mic'd up clips. It might be now that I think about it, it might be the only mic'd up clip I've ever seen between a fucking owner and a GM. So easily first was when they traded for Flower. Garrett just goes, "Can I use the private jet?" And Leopold goes, "Yeah." That clip is so funny, dude. Yeah, of course. It's just that is outrageous.
It's actually the only reason that he made the trade.
Imagine having a buddy "Hey, can I borrow the private jet?" They're "Yeah." What do you mean? Of course you can. That's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So that's a weird. Johansson, Rossi, Hartman is a very weird trio to me. That could be funny. And again, Marco Rossi is just kind of producing regardless of who's playing with at this point. Again, he got stapled to the bench and then thrown out in the 4th line. And was it Montreal game? He still scored. It's okay. So beast.
You think
it's just weird how much of a leash he has versus some of the other players is so fucking weird to me.
It is well, and then you got the flip, which is Johansson, who literally, no matter what happens, he's going to be in the top 6, and not even for a second will Hines or the front office hesitate. And on today's installment of Worst Seats in the House, of course, Russo and LaPanta go at it over Rossi and Johansson. And dude, at this point, I actually just respect the level of discipline that Anthony LaPanta has in backing Marcus Johansson. I want someone to love me the way that he loves Johansson. Like they're talking about 5-on-5 numbers, whatever, and he's literally going off on how good Ek, Boldy, and Johansson's line has been. Like I think 85% scoring chances, whatever, and the whole time he only mentions Boldy and Ek. Like he's literally just a passenger. But he's like, you got to keep playing him when the numbers are this good. How do you not? And it's just fascinating to me that you can hold that strongly and not be like, maybe it's that Boldy and Ek are just that freaking good. Because it was an argument about like, oh, they're not scoring very much, but okay, they're also not getting scored on at all. Like, cool. You could throw Ogren on that line and it's probably the same thing, except maybe there'll be a little bit more offense. Like, I don't know. It was a fascinating development, but like the fact that as Russo laid out the easiest transition for LaPanta to agree with him and like not have it be like he's backing off of his boy and still just go full like, I don't know, you're not thinking about this right. I at this point, I respect it.
Yeah, I mean, you game recognized game. I love being a heel, so I love that. I'll say the same thing about Marcus Johansson I've always said, is he does do a lot of little things for a line that helps out, but in terms of like, he has 4 fucking points. I think it's 1 goal and 3 assists this season.
And
nothing is justifying him playing top 6 minutes.
You are a Marcus Johansson supporter, and I personally would be very Johansson neutral if not for trying to counterbalance what LaPanta has done the past 2 years. Like I'm literally just reacting.
Look at what you've done to me.
Being like, you're too excited. Calm down. Moving forward, I'm gonna pretend that LaPanta's opinion of him doesn't exist, and I'm just gonna continue to be fairly neutral on who Marcus Johansson is. I don't dislike the player, but it's also crazy to like try and defend that he's more deserving of top 6 minutes than Marco Rossi. I can't stand by that.
Yeah, no. Again, like I said, he does a lot of little things to complement a line. He also, it's crazy how many chances he gets and just misses. There were a couple early ones, like the first 5 games of the year, that he legit just like whiffed. I think they scored immediately after one of his whiffs. I think he got an assist for the whiff. And I was like, fuck yeah. Like, he's this guy. That was intentional. Totally on purpose. He whiffed on that puck and got a second assist for it. Yeah. Again, a lot of the things that he does really well is making life easy for his line mates in terms of just like using his speed and skill to finagle his way with the puck to the offensive or the neutral zone, offensive zone entries, all that stuff. But in terms of like generating offense, that's where, I mean, the last couple of years, that's where that's kind of ceased. And you absolutely have plenty of other players who could do that. As far as like justifying a spot in your top 6. Again, I love, as you said, I fucking love Marcus Johansson. I'll never say a bad word about him, but like I am obsessed now, not only with LaPanta's
obsessed with the obsession
dedication, but the team's like, what are we, 3rd or 4th line? What are you fucking high? No fucking way we're doing that. That guy, he is there, and that is where he lives. We are not changing at all. Marco Rossi, go play in the 4th line. Oh, he scored again? Fuck. All right. Well, still.
You know what I need? I need Marcus Johansson to have a sister who's getting married like middle of the season and have the team like literally get him a PJ to send him there.
Just see what happens. They play with 11 forwards. They go 7D.
And Rossi still doesn't play.
Rossi gets benched. He gets health bombed. He's like, why? What do you want me to do? My hands are tied. It's great. That's good stuff.
We try our best. So let's get into some prospect talk then, Z. Let's start with. Oh, you got one more
quick.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a constant theme of whenever we talk about the Wild. Philip Gustafsson. I mean, just continuing.
Did I just ignore it at this point because it's like I've come to expect him to be good?
Yeah, it is crazy that like 2 years ago he had that ridiculous season where his numbers looked like what this year's numbers looked like. Then last year happened, and now we're here again, and it's like, oh boy, this is a roller coaster, a year-long roller coaster. Like, it's a great year. The next year, which is very like Ottawa Senators castaway players. Like, that's how that usually works somehow. This is usually how it goes. We've had a few of those in Ottawa too, or Boston. But I think he's first in goals against and tied for first in save percentage.
Yep.
You know who he is? You know who is also tied for first in save percentage? Cam Talbot. So
okay, how many games?
No, I think he is out now at Detroit starter. They put up Campbell on waivers again. That poor fucking. I actually just feel bad for him now.
Him and Husso are both. Well, no, he wasn't up though, was he? My understanding was that he just got healthy and he had they want him to play in the AHL, but he technically has to go through waivers again to do so.
Yeah, but I literally
that was my understanding.
I just saw that. Yeah, Cam Talbot's played 10 games, 9-5-3 with a 9.27 and a 2.42. So he's been good. But yeah, no, I literally just saw like Campbell on waiver. I was like, Jesus Christ! Like every update I see about him the last however many years now, it's just like I am literally just at the point. I think everyone actually really is just feel bad for that dude. But at least wanted to bring up again, the Wild are allowing nothing defensively, so that's been even when they are down forwards, like their top forwards. Defense has been beyond steady, and Gustafsson is doing Gustafsson things from 2 years ago. So they're going to be remaining in games. Yes.
Both Kaprizov is going to be nominated for the Hart. Gustafsson is going to be nominated for Vezina. Both are going to come in second.
Probably. That feels about right.
Just the way it needs to be.
Oh, and shout out Mikey Mild NHL debut, even though I hate when this happens. He played 6 minutes. It drives me insane, but it's fine.
Yeah, that was going to be the first topic of prospects. I still view him as a prospect, but yeah, Mikey Milne, here we go. Like, at least he played, and honestly, the highlight of any of that was the exchange between you and Karts.
Yeah, that was great. Mikey Milne, again, just a phenomenal no bucket Warmies solo lap. That red hair was flowing, so I had to reach out to Ryan Carter, get his thoughts, and he immediately just tweeted a gif of Bobby Flay back at me. We say, move over. Which was just ridiculous. But yeah, no, it was honestly just great. He has deserved that call up since he honestly stepped foot in Iowa.
Yeah, I mean, last year the injuries didn't help.
Right, he missed a ton of time last year when he actually came in. Much like Bank here, they just produced immediately. It looked really good. So in this year especially, he's obviously been incredible in Iowa. And a key reason that they had any kind of offense, even in games they were losing, the only reason they were putting up any kind of points was a guy like Mikey Milne. So he was well deserving of that call up. I was very happy to see it. Especially when he got drafted, it was hey, this is kind of another version of a Connor Dewar, which those players, you never know if they're going to become full-time NHL guys. I mean, obviously,
sure, it's
been one game, but it was just cool to see him get called up. He's an awesome player. I love watching Mikey Milne. He rocks. So good for him.
Him and Ogren down in Iowa at the same time too is going to mean fun things for the offense.
Mm-hmm. Along with Hunter Haight. Oh,
yes. Well, next up, we for our friends MNW Young Guns, MNW Prospects, you can follow them under either tag on Facebook and Twitter. Make sure you follow if you want to be up to date on literally everything prospects. It's actually funny, some of the things that I'll just see them post. I'm like, no shit, no idea. They're way too tapped in. We're gonna talk for them, Z, just about Denver. Period. Because we absolutely need to talk about the hat trick and the good things that we knew Zeev Buium would do this year, but we also just haven't talked in quite a while about the other Denver Pioneer. Lead wherever you want.
Well, first of all, They're now 12-0 this season. Obviously, reigning national champions. They haven't lost a hockey game since March 8th. Like, this team is fucking like, watching them on Friday, like, they kicked the ever-living dog shit out of North Dakota on Friday. I think, what was the final score? 5-2. Obviously, Zeev Buium hat trick. One at even strength. One on the power play, and then one on the empty net. But again, much like last season, they are an unbelievably complete hockey team, top to bottom. Like, there's legitimately no glaring weaknesses. They're also getting the goaltending that some people had questions about coming into this year. They're fucking insane. And Zeev Buium, I think he was the first defenseman to score a hat trick for them since like 2004. He's just doing insane shit. He was on his assist game, and then he decided to pot a couple, so he decided to score his first, second, and third goal of the season in the same game. And I mean, Riga Lorenz has been a much quieter year for him. That being said, he is still being used a lot on the defensive side of the puck. The games I've watched, he's still heavy on the forecheck, creating that way. Obviously, he's just not getting the chances to go. So he still looks fine. It's just the points aren't there. That being said, they don't even need it. He is still filling a role.
Will the Wild need it? Like, is
right.
he expected to be anything more than a bottom six forward who has the offensive potential, but you're not counting on it?
Yeah, you probably look at him like a middle to bottom six offensive upside.
Oh, you think middle?
Yeah, he could play like a third line, just given. I mean, the profile player you would like him.
When you say middle six, that implies that he could play on the second line.
Okay, we'll go bottom six, I guess. Because every time I hear bottom six,
am I incorrect? Am I incorrect on that?
No, you're not incorrect.
Oh. You've ever said I was right. This is a good day.
But again, so Lorenz this year for Denver, it's been obviously in terms of just like production, it's not the same as last year. I think he's got 4 or 5 points. I gotta pull it up again. I literally just had it up. But I mean, still playing well. Fingal roll full up. I mean, they're 12-0, so they don't really have any complaints about any player on their team.
Yeah, they're kind of okay at the hockey stuff.
And I mean, they're like rolling teams too. Like rolling. I was thrown off when they only beat Lindenwood. Like, I think it was 4 or 5-1 in both games. Like, that was when I was like, whoa, are they okay? They didn't score 10.
William probably got the Rossi treatment.
Yeah, exactly. They're fucking unbelievable though. Like, one loss since March 8th against Colorado. Like, it's crazy. And I mean, they look like they are
Colorado Avalanche, I assume, or
yeah, the NHL team. But yeah, no, they're insane. But shout out Zeev Buium for that hat trick. That was sick.
We're getting some great comments for those listening. Reason to join on YouTube. First, Cosgrove. The last time Denver lost, Joe Biden was a presidential candidate.
Oh boy.
Flyer Voracek. The last time Denver lost, Nashville was a playoff contender.
Yeah.
Keep them coming, people. I love this. This is great. The last time Denver lost, ... I love it.
That's
okay, well, that's good.
Did you see Buium Selly on the hat trick goal? He was giving it to the Nodak. It was beautiful.
It was an empty netter too, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
And that makes me so much happier.
It was just cocky. I mean, he was talking so much fucking shit. It was
to go.
It was like Joe subtle, but just knowing that it was like
broken it.
Yeah, he rocks.
The fact that he did that to North Dakota makes him immediately my new favorite prospect. I apologize. Oh wait, no, I don't apologize because I'm the only one that put him number 1. Or no, I put him 1 or 2. I don't remember. It was one of the two. I just know Isha lost his mind that I didn't have Wallstedt 1. So
there you go.
Whatever. All right, moving on from Denver. Do we think that Kalen Parker could play for every WHL team before joining the Wild?
Yeah, we're tracking. We're tracking.
Basically the Cam Talbot.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Kalen Parker traded again, this time from Moose Jaw to Calgary. That's going to be a great move because Moose Jaw is firmly in last place in their conference. Calgary's in 4th, so they're a playoff team. So the other big-time right shot D-man on Calgary is Carter Yakimchuk. I wonder if he will play next to Axel Herdig. I think he's did the Sharks draft him? Oh, yeah. Sharks prospect. I think I have that right. But significantly better team. The Moose Jaw problem this year has been fascinating. They've got a ton of talent. Like Jaeger's still there, lighting it up, by the way. I mean,
wait,
that doesn't
which
feel good.
Jaeger?
Braden Jaeger.
Okay, because isn't Furcus still?
I think he is in the AHL.
Oh, he is. Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
Continue. And I don't really care about Braden Jaeger because apparently Kyle Dubas doesn't, and he's a fucking dipshit. Moving on.
Yeah, perfect. But like Moose Jaw's got Jaeger there still. And they've also got this kid who's going to go top 10 this year, Lyndon Lakovich, and he has been.
You haven't even talked to me about him yet. Talk about him. Going top 10 this year. Who is he?
Probably.
Did he just like pop out of nowhere? Because you have not mentioned him to me.
I put him on the riser list last time we talked about it. But I mean, he's like a 6'4" power winger who's developed this year this playmaking game. He has an absolute cannon. And he is big, physical. He's mean, and his skating game has taken he's on a whole other level in terms of just like his ability to move, both in terms of like the speed, just like lateral agility. I don't know if he's another one of these guys that had like a late growth spurt, but he looked like he takes over games at times. But Moose Jaw, they still just fucking again firmly in last place, like 11th of 11. So Kalen Park goes to another playoff caliber team.
Dude, it's actually crazy. Kalen Parker probably grew up a Wild fan because he's from Saskatoon.
I love Minnesota. Saskatoon.
I thought I was going to get you there mid-sip.
Shout out, Barry.
So talk about his new team, though. Like, is this a team that's poised to make any level of push?
Yeah, I mean, at this point in the season, you never know. I mean, like realistically, again, they're a playoff caliber team. They've got a ton of really good, solid defensemen. Again, I would imagine he probably plays next to Axel Hertig, NHL prospects. I forget what round he got taken in by San Jose, but big, mean, physical, defensive D-man. Like Kalen Parker would complement him really well just in terms of moving the puck. And plus, he kind of can be their secondary power play option right behind Yakimchuk. And I got to bring up, they've got a couple prospects for this 2025 draft that look pretty promising. If my computer loads, there we go. But I mean, yeah, at this point in the season, the points are still pretty compact in terms of like where they end up. But they're a playoff team. Oh, it's the Flames pick. I'm a dumbass. God damn, I knew that too. That's going to drive me crazy. But there it is. Yeah. Oh, one player that I love for this upcoming draft, and a guy. Oh, another one of our all-name team guys from last year, Keats Fawcett. That's a great name. But this year they've got this kid Ben Kindle, a right winger. He should go like mid first round. So they've got plenty of firepower up front. They're a pretty young team overall. But I mean, they've performed pretty well this year. Obviously, again, they're still a playoff team as of right now. And yeah, no, I'll be curious to see if he does end up playing with Axel Herdig, because I think that could be a really good combo for them. But yeah, no, they're a good team. It's early in the season still, so plenty of time for them to rise. And it sounds like they want to make more moves too. So it sounds like they might be a team that wants to, like, maybe not necessarily load up, but at least
they're not going to be trading too many 10-year-olds.
Right. Well, the kid that Nathan Gardner's a 15-year-old. Yeah, it's an 09, which now we're getting to that point when we're talking about kids born in 2010. I'm going to be losing my shit if we're still doing this podcast by then.
I was in fucking college.
I know, dude. fucking insane. Makes me sick. Here I am.
Oh my god, that's
Talking about these
bad.
Spartans. We're gonna high
Hang
noon
on.
on a Monday.
We don't need to go like too deep on this, but I'm just like curious. Kalen Parker, like where would he stack up if he made the move to college hockey? Like, is this a guy that's like a no shit, like top pairing guy for a lot of teams? Or like if we're looking at the elite teams, like if it's BC or Minnesota, is he third pairing, second pairing, first pairing? Like where would he fit talent wise?
I mean, unlike a top NCAA team, like he's, I mean,
Like
he's
4 or 5
probably
guy?
yeah, probably. Again, like a ton of offensive upside. It's really good two-way game.
Sure.
But I mean, there's a lot of players like Kalen Parker, so that's the problem. But we'll see. He's fun to watch. I really like him.
That's good. Last one then, or I guess last two. These coming from Mateo, Danila Yurov and Riley Height, MIA. Does that mean they're in Miami or where? What's that mean?
Both injured. I wasn't really sure what happened to Yurov. I went back and I watched the shift from his last game. I didn't see anything, so I don't really know what's going on. But he's listed as injured. I mean, he got shoulder surgery in the offseason. Hopefully, it's not like something stemming from that, but that feels also like fairly likely, I guess. Considering, again, I just watched the last few shifts of his last game that he played, and I didn't see anything. He didn't take any big hits. Same with Riley Height. I didn't see that one either. I just noticed that he was injured. And then, I mean, I get this is like this guy's not on the same level, but a guy like Stevie Lescar still hasn't played since like October, so I don't really know what's going on with him. So he had a couple injuries, but Yurov and Height newly injured, but.
Dude, fucking Mateo updated. Hang on, Mateo updated the document to say missing in action because he was worried that I actually thought he meant Miami.
I love that he's just on every word. He's like, "Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck."
Hey, you know what? He's on top of it. I appreciate it.
Beauty. Yeah, he's a beauty. But one guy that returned from injury for the first time in a long time, Ryder Ritchie. Ryder Ritchie back from
Jesus impression rose from the dead.
Yeah, oh yeah. He returned to the lineup, rocking that bubble after taking a skate to the face like a month ago.
Awesome.
Not great, but returns first period, first shot, snipe short side, playing with Gavin McKenna, which is just so much fun. I think he played around 20 minutes. I just pulled up their 5-on-5 numbers with him on the ice, and I mean, they were like 65-70% expected goals. But it's his first goal for his new club since getting traded this season or this summer. But it was just good to see him back on the ice, rocking the bubble. Which is, obviously a shame. But I didn't realize how bad he got hit in the face with that. Like, you know how usually there's like a big panic from everybody? Like if someone gets hit up top, like he just flew off the ice himself, and like they didn't have to go and clean like the fucking ice of blood or anything. Like the play continued as he just flew off. And like there wasn't any big updates about anything other than eventually like 4 weeks ago it was like, yeah, he's still out and not expected to be back anytime soon. It's like, oh shit, okay. And it was his own player that hit him in the face with his skate. But either way, good to see him back on the ice. Good to see him finally get that first goal. Technically, his first point was in his last game that he played too. So is that a 2-game point streak? I don't know. From a month ago. But I have a feeling he is going to hit the ground running after getting that first one up his back.
So wait, does that mean if you're on like a big streak of not scoring and you miss a game and come back, that streak's over, gone, done?
I don't know. I remember I can't. There was someone that there was a similar thing. Maybe it was like a suspension that didn't count. I can't remember what. I don't even remember the situation. But I remember thinking this is fucking dumb. It's the same thing that I'm always just like, we're gonna give the guys a minus for like an empty net. It's the same thing. I'm like, okay, sure.
Yeah, well, fair enough. Last one coming from Cosgrove and transitions into our Fellowship of the Rink segment. Wallstedt having lots of trouble in Iowa. I see the highlights, and it seems like he isn't getting a lot of help, but 864 over 9 games is rough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like the last couple of games, They just got caved. They had leads. They just got caved in. I mean, again, like he said, a few games where he's been great, and there's been plenty that he wasn't great. This is the other thing too. We didn't actually talk about this specifically at the start of the year when they were talking about this 3 goalie rotation thing. I half wonder if he was been like in the mindset of mostly being in Minnesota this year, and like going back and forth as needed. I can't help but wonder if that's just like that plays into your mindset somewhat. I don't know. I'm not trying to make like excuses for the kid because I mean, there's just been plenty of games and plenty of goals he's given up where you just don't want those to go in. I mean, well,
right? No, it's fair.
Yeah, and again, it's the same thing as last year too, where it's like Jesus Christ, that decor is just like very young.
Someone made the argument in our comments, Z, that Iowa's roster isn't a problem and they would be dominating if not for the bad coaching. And I just didn't even comment. I'm like, I'm not touching this. I'm leaving it be. But Wallstedt touched on some of this too in the interview with Joe Smith and I. You can go back and listen to the full episode if you want. Or Tuesday, we will drop just the interview with Wallstedt, which, like, I don't know.
Beauty.
I've been pretty honest on most of these. Wallstedt's easily a top 3 interview we've done. He's just like such an easy guy to talk to. He's entertaining. I don't know, Z, I'm sure you listened to it. Like, do you agree? Like, was he one of the better ones?
Oh, yeah. Anytime you can just get, it feels like you're actually having a normal conversation. They're not like just trying to map out their next answer. It's great. He's a dude you could just sit down with and just talk shit with for whatever, however long. But yeah, no, he's a beauty.
I'd love to grab a beer with him. That'd be so fun. So yeah, check those out. But on the other side, quick word from our friends at 9 Mile. But on the other side, we're actually going to transition and do the hot take segment for Fellowship of the Rink. I mean, I guess there wasn't really a word there, but there were words on the screen, so we'll count it. But now we've got the final segment of Fellowship of the Rink, every week brought to you by our great friends at Barrel Theory Beer Company.
This is blowing my mind.
What?
Blowing my mind.
Just did I change the branding? Oh, no.
Switch. No, I'm laughing. It's the switching shows because it's immediately going to Fellowship.
You're right.
I'm like, yep, absolutely.
Yeah, fair.
Sure are.
You're here for the ride. So every week we bring you the hot take segment, Keyboard Warriors, brought to you always by our great friends at Barrel Theory Beer Company. If you're going to the Wild games, which I don't think there's any home ones this week, but they'll be back soon enough. You can get the Crowler of the day, which, see, if we go to a game, you're absolutely drinking a craft beer, no straw, big old can. Section 105. Otherwise, you can get their Raindrops on Tap, sections 112, 217, and club level 36. And, of course, pregame, postgame, or during the game if you don't have tickets. It is the best spot. It's like a 15-minute walk. No big deal. See, we've got 5 topics here for Keyboard Warriors this week. And one of them, the first one actually, comes from, I don't know if we call him a junior producer or producer in the making, but Mateo apparently broke Twitter recently. Literally just posted the stat line for Marco Rossi, 16 games played, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points, and a +5. And then a picture of Connor Bedard, 17 games played, 3 goals, 10 assists, 13 points, and a -6, and just said, it's time to have a conversation. #mnwild. And wow, people went pretty nuts over this. Z, do we need to revisit this and strip the Calder Trophy of Connor Bedard and not give it to Brock Faber, but to Marco Rossi?
First of all, attaboy, Mateo. That's good stuff. I hope you didn't reply to anyone that replied to you. That's the bet. You just drop. You just set the fire.
Good on him. He replied twice. I'll allow it.
I mean, yeah, obviously they're not the same. We should have a conversation though, because the Blackhawks fan base, the fan base there is so as any other fan base would be about any of their stars, but in particular, they immediately go nasty. Like they say like the stuff they used to say to Russo.
Oh, dude, there's assholes in Chicago. It's crazy.
It's like whenever Bedard would have like a 2-goal game, they would like unprompted be like, I know what I need to do is make sure. I bet Mike Russo has no idea that Bedard just scored, so I'm going to let him know, and then I'm going to call him an asshole. I'm like, what the? Why are you doing that?
They're a softer, more cowardly Philadelphia, basically.
yeah. Some are just more distinguished version of Philly. I don't know. A cleaner version. Yeah. But yeah, literally, it's funny because I think it was either last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about how like the additions they made were helping Bedard. And I think the second that came out of my mouth, like Taylor Hall got scratched. And then when the media was like, yeah, I had absolutely no idea that I was getting scratched. Also, I had no idea that was even a possibility. Like, no, that's weird. Like,
my agent told me I had a no scratch clause.
And then they just literally stopped scoring. So once again, anytime I say anything, just whatever betting markets you can find to bet on the opposite of what came out of my mouth, do that. But bottom line, attaboy Matteo, way to spark the internet. We love that. Apparently it's unbelievably easy to get that fan base like beyond riled up. It is entertaining. Yeah. So good for you. Attaboy.
You know what? Proud parent moment regardless for us, our little boy Matteo. Next one up, Z, I threw this one in because like it kind of just irked me a little bit, but also I know like you get irked by this individual occasionally. So Mark Diver, Divver, initially says Hockey East suspends Boston College's Jacob Fowler for 1 game for clubbing a Yukon player with his blocker last night. He'll miss game at Providence College on Tuesday night. One Colby Cohen replies, an ESPN game missing one of the biggest stars, and then has a weird like flatline emoji. Is Hockey East trying to kill ESPN by not letting one of the biggest stars in college hockey play when their game is showcased on ESPN?
That is what a wild reaction from Colby Cohen. First of all, I thought you were actually talking about Diver.
No.
I mean, that would have been tracking.
I actually don't know Diver until I saw this, so.
Well, it was fun. Yeah. No, I love Mark, but he's wildly anti Fabian Lysell with like there must be like a grudge thing. Which I don't even know why I thought you might have known that. So that's where my brain was going. But that is a wild reaction to have. Now, the one thing I will say is Hockey East's history of like suspensions is legitimately mind-blowing, where like I was at the game a couple of years ago when they were playing, I think it was Maine. I can't remember who it was. And it was Nikita. Shout out Nikita Nestorenko, one-time Wild prospect. They traded to Anaheim. He was clearly after the game ended, he was running around like a lunatic trying to like kill people. And a Bruins prospect, Trevor Kuntar, like pushed one kid just to get to Nestorenko and like get him off the ice. And Kuntar got like a 2-game sussy. And I was like, what the fuck? So Hockey East is bad at this. Like they are very bad at this. And there's been 2 other times. I think it was specifically with BC again. I don't know if like they just think Hockey East revolves around BC. But like some of the suspensions were always sitting like, how the fuck did we just? Oh, am I allowed to say fuck?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, great. But there have been a few times Hockey's has made a decision on like player discipline. You're like, what the fuck? Like, that guy, he's the one. Now, clubbing a guy, fair enough, but at the same time, I hope he does it again. That's a rock star move. I love when goalies do mean things, unless your name's Jordan Binnington, because he just does it like trying to spark his dog shit hockey team. But it is crazy to think, Hockey East didn't want to factor in the ESPN viewership of this.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Imagine if he like actually like two-handed, like almost decapitated the guy's like, what? He's on ESPN next week again, as they are every week.
Also, where does Fowler rank on that team among stars?
He's
like
maybe their guy. Yeah, I think it's different with the goalie thing, but I mean, like, no one's tuning in to be like, I can't wait to watch. If the anything,
they're like, saves. All right, we're gonna get like a 7-7 game. Here we go.
That's yeah. Again, crazy reaction to be like, oh, I can't believe they're doing this.
If it was Gabe Perreault, Alex Micheletti would have come in and been like, yeah, tell him, Colby. Alex, I love you, man. But yeah. Weird reaction, but yeah, all right. Moving on to the next one, we'll stick with college hockey here, Z. And this one actually came, and I apologize, I can't give proper credit because I could not go back and find the comment once I replied to it. YouTube's weird. But someone replied on our video from last week on Judd'z Budz talking about the CHL, NCAA stuff, about which teams might be, the new up-and-coming juggernauts now that there's a whole new talent pool that we can draw from. They mentioned one that we did not talk about that I think is very interesting to discuss. UNLV. Banking off of all the Vegas hype, whatnot, and this is a team that has been rising in the club ranks. What say you to UNLV being right there to joust with Arizona State as kind of the two up-and-comers based on the CHL news?
Yeah, UNLV is fascinating to me because, like, in the sports that they have, like their varsity teams, I feel like they'll go through, like, 2 or 3 years, like, they're on the scene, like a top 20 team, and then they disappear and are like, 0-57. And I'm like, that's how I pictured like the recruiting for Arizona State, where it's like, we got the best recruiting class in the country. 6 months later, like, and 12 of them got suspended already. Okay, we're gonna have to do this again. That's a great pick, though. UNLV just doesn't have the same kind of like, because when we were bringing up teams, it was like those big SEC football names like Alabama. I think the one that I landed on was Clemson, because I feel like they could make sick jerseys.
Clemson would be very cool. Agreed.
Very cool place. Yeah.
For me, the reason this works though is because you feel like that's a spot where they would invest. They would get the facilities. They would get the crowd draw. Like, it's not going to happen overnight, but we're talking like between 5 to 10 years from now, I could see UNLV building themselves to a spot where it's like, yeah, this is the no shit spot for people to go. And I mean, how do you not love that fucking logo?
Yeah, phenomenal yoga. The amount of jerseys that they could fucking produce is beautiful. But again, I think the reason that we didn't think about it last time was just like, it's a different kind. Like everyone does know UNLV, at least in America.
It doesn't come to mind though if you're thinking
it's not a big name brand. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, they already have like the Club Hockey Foundation there. Like, I just not made up, but like the schools that I mentioned, I'm like Florida, Clemson. I'm like, I don't even know if they have fucking club hockey. I have no idea. They could make a sick jersey though, but they've got the foundation with club hockey that they're like legit too.
Yeah. No, the best jersey, we agree. The best jersey, Hawaii.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
easy. All right, this next one might take a little bit longer here, Z. But
great.
I don't know. Did you listen? This is a Monday evening that we're recording this. Did you listen to 32 Thoughts minus Jeff Merrick today?
No.
So I generally will recap like big things that Elliot Friedman brings up. I'm not even going to try because I would need way too many notes to properly do it justice. And I know there's already an article out on The Athletic talking about it, but the landscape of the NHL where they are doing really, really well right now, they are bringing in a ton of revenue, and the salary cap is not going to grow commensurate with what the actual revenues are, mostly because of the players turning down increases in escrow and how that might mess things up. And if they make a huge jump all of a sudden, that's going to impact like one free agent class, whatever. But Elliot Friedman basically said he expects $97 million to be the salary cap next year. That is a $9 million increase. That is not a small increase. $97 million. Now, who are the two big names that aren't free agents but eligible for extensions next summer? A couple 97s. My hot take, this is mine personally, Connor McDavid takes over 16 mil, and Kirill Kaprizov sits and waits until McDavid's deal and says, I want that. What say you?
I mean, I think we're at the point where, like, why wouldn't he? And people will get up in arms about, well, he's not McDavid, blah, 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 blah. Not a center. And he's like, I would sit there and be like, he has, like, pretty much, I think, 10 minutes into him being on the ice in his first game for the Minnesota Wild, he immediately became, like, their most important player in franchise history. Like, it was, like, immediate. So he is a player. It's like whatever he wants. You're sitting there like, yeah, like saying no isn't really an option.
No,
I don't really care how old he is.
Especially after Leopold comes out and says, yeah, we can and will pay him the most out of any team. Like, it's not putting yourself in a great negotiating spot, but to your point, like, what are you going to do? Tell him no and let him fucking walk? Nope. I don't think so.
And people, I mean, again, like, it is a legitimate debate to have where it's like, oh, so what are you saying? He is the same as Connor McDavid? And you're sitting there like, well, first of all, Wild. Yeah, there you go. So it's like, in terms of how important he is for the Minnesota Wild, he's probably more important to the Wild. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what people don't understand, too. It's like you're convincing him to stay in the market. He knows how important he is to this franchise. If he leaves, you're dialing the clocks back 7 years, probably. And maybe that's not even enough. Yeah, you're giving him whatever he wants, but the real conversation, as it's always been, is here's a blank check. Just know however much you sign for, that limits the people that we can add to this team if you really want to win a cup. You write whatever fucking number you want. Like, if he wants 20%, they're going to give him 20%. They don't have a choice. You cannot afford to lose Kaprizov. You will lose so much of your season ticket holder base. You're going to lose so much in the progress you've built, especially when you look at this year where, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people that were way too down on the Wild, as Russo would say, with the likes of fucking Chicago, but no one expected them to start as well as they did this year. And you remove him, that's not a thing. Even if you replace him with a commensurate dollar value of player or players, you're not even remotely in this conversation. You have to pay him what he asks for. And if that's matching McDavid, you say, all right, hopefully McDavid doesn't ask for too much.
Yeah. And
he's going over 15, right? Is 15 kind of our floor that we expect?
Yeah. If the cap's going up that much, which if Elliot Friedman's saying that, I mean, I just pulled up the Athletic article.
It's happening.
And they're like, just based on the math that they've been using, like it could go as high as like 96, 90, whatever.
Right, but that means it's going to go up even more the next year, and you got to like compensate for that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and it is weird. Every sport, anytime someone signs a big contract, it's like, whoa. NHL in particular, just given the amount of money they make compared to other pro sports, anytime someone signs a big ticket, 90% of the reaction is, whoa, my, overpay.
Weird,
Like,
kind of like Kaprizov's existing contract that everyone shit on. And Karen could have signed him to an 11/8, and it's like, God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to be whatever, like you said, you could pose it to him as like, hey, it is a blank check. At this point, once, like you said too, like, yeah, you would like to be in a better negotiating position, but at the same time, not really. You kind of want him to like, hey, what? Yeah. What? Do you want to go 20%? I guess we can. Just know that means that we're pretty much going to have like the same level of roster we have now. Like, it's not getting improved. But again, the second he started playing for the Minnesota Wild, it took him maybe 10 minutes to become like the most important player in franchise history. As far like, and I got the other thing too, when the guy like that signs long term and makes a commitment that he's going to be there for at least 10 years, potentially his whole career, like that is a big signal to other players around the league too. That like Kaprizov's a guy that other players are like, yeah, I would love to fucking play with that guy. So there's other value beyond that. Yeah. Let's get that going. Actually,
don't tell Lazarus. Don't tell him.
Let's get that.
Yeah, I actually heard that Connor Bedard wants to come play in Minnesota with Kaprizov. Well, I mean, the Wild would gladly sign him if he was available and willing to come here. That's the same thing, right?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go fire off a tweet that's pretty confident. Yeah, he'd love it, and we would love it. Yeah, no, I think it's not a hot take. Yeah, he's gonna make at least 15 on that next deal. Like,
I think 15's the floor, but I'm saying him and McDavid both make at least 16 is my kind of hot take. Maybe it's not that hot, but Wild fans that have been like, oh, he'll take 13 and a half. Like, no, he's not. No, he's not.
If he does, then I mean, he should be worshipped every game. But
Sean Cosgrove says, can they just give him like 3% equity in the team plus $7 million per year? 3% is like $50 million in value. I don't know. Mario Lemieux was given the franchise. I don't see why we can't pull this kind of stuff. Mateo, Boldy and Faber already being done makes that way more palatable. To an extent, I mean, mostly because the Boldy deal, dear Lord, like if his contract wasn't done a la the Kaprizov 11/8, how much is Boldy making this summer if he's a free agent?
Dude.
Probably going to have an extra digit. No big deal. Last one here, Z, and this one comes from our friend Timmy Johnson, owner, proprietor of Barrel Theory Beer Company. I'm currently sipping on a delicious cereal chiller, Czech Pils. This is definitely more of a Z beer. Like, it's basically a like way, way, way better Bud Light. So you would love it.
With a cool can.
It's always got a cool can.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, their designs and beer names are quite good, more often than not. He suggests that, a la, Parisi Suter, just in honor of them coming off the books here after this year, why not bring another local legend home this season before the trade deadline? Bring Sid Crosby back to Minnesota.
A Minnesota
Bill Guerin is here, and they have a great relationship. Marc-Andre Fleury was his mandated PJ buddy. Sidney Crosby's probably not too happy right now over in Pittsburgh, and let's be real, the team that he would love to go to in Colorado in no world can afford even half of his contract. If we're going to trade Marco Rossi, why not do that and a couple firsts to bring in Sidney Crosby?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be the guy that sits here and says, no, they shouldn't do that, As everyone knows, the likelihood is like negative.
He's a bust. He sucks.
Yeah, can you believe that they're not undefeated with him on the roster? Yeah, he's terrible. I mean, that would fucking rule. just picture Sidney Crosby in a Wild jersey. Like I can't even.
It's actually like I love the Penguins, and like like I'm not like an anti-Wild fan at all. Seeing him in a Wild jersey would break my brain. I don't know. I've long been of the opinion that the Wild need to figure out their jerseys. The white jersey's solid. I'll give him that. But him wearing the like shitty knockoff North Star jersey or the standard green jersey, it would be really, really, really weird for me. But goddamn, stick him between Kaprizov and Zuccarello once the nut heals. Oh my God. That changes your team. And again, going the other way, Rossi, probably a couple firsts and whatever prospects they want besides Zeev Buium, Danila Yurov, and Riley Heidt. How do you not take that deal? How do you not? For both sides, assuming that Crosby is willing to leave, because I'm still under the impression he wants to retire a Penguin, but goddamn, it's gotten more palatable. But I'm actually going to pivot on this, Z, because there's a lot of people like, oh, Crosby won't do it, and if he leaves, he's going to go play with McKinnon. Okay, fine. We're going to take Crosby off the table. Can you imagine if Genny Malkin playing with Kirill Kaprizov? Oh my God. Honestly, weirdly, that would excite me more. Sidney Crosby is the best player in the NHL still to this day, my personal opinion. Evgeny Malkin is my favorite Penguin in the past like 2 decades. He is so fun, especially when he's on his game. You put him with Kirill Kaprizov, oh my God. I would be so happy for Gino to come to Minnesota. And that's a way more likely scenario too. He's more affordable. He's more likely to be traded because he's not Sidney Crosby. You bring Malkin in at any level of salary cap retention. Ooh, I don't know. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah, and I mean Malkin was the one that like when the Wild had $12 in cap space, like, yo, for Russo's mailbag, thoughts on signing of Evgeny Malkin? And Russo, his reactions every time was so goddamn funny. Those are my favorite reactions of all time. He's like, I don't know how to answer this question anymore. This is insane. They can't even like sign all their fucking like ELCs. Like, and then you want to fucking go sign Evgeny Malkin.
From Mateo, Kaprizov, Malkin, Yurov in the playoffs. Oh, boy, howdy. People are going to lose their mind at you, Mateo, that you did not include Kuznetsov in this. But, man, I really think that Malkin to Minnesota could be done. You obviously are going to have salary retention on the Penguin side. You're going to have to give up a good amount to make it happen. And you're going to have to move a little bit of salary. But, like, it's not the craziest thing I've ever heard. And I think that's way more possible than Crosby. And I would be equally excited.
Yeah, I would say both are extremely unlikely, but
yeah,
the Malkin one would be the one where it's like it wouldn't be less than 0%, you know?
And Bogosian's no longer decidedly the biggest human on the team.
There you go. Malkin, like that he is
a big fucking boy, dude.
He's a mess.
He looks like, you know, if you took my baby and you use the old person filter on them, that's Malkin. He still has a baby face, even though he's almost 40.
Now I'm just picturing Malkin's face on your baby. And now I'm picturing when we did the live episode from your basement as I was yelling.
What a baby!
What a baby, as he's drooling. Okay, yeah, that would rock. I would be down. I would be fun.
Redux in December.
I am so considering Minnesota is appearing to be a pretty solid bet to be a good playoff. Like, they're a good hockey team. I haven't budged on that. Looking at the deadline, I actually have no idea where most of these teams are. This year has been so fucking weird around the league.
Not weird.
Not weird, Wild. I can't even begin to like formulate not even predictions, just like what players around the league I'd want. Not just the Wild, but like most of these teams to go out and add. Like there are a few, but specifically with Minnesota, I mean, you're just desperate for like any middle to bottom six scoring, I guess. And I mean, I think on the back end, even if they have a couple injuries, they at least have guys that can be like a 6-7 that could fill in on a bottom pair or whatever. That's assuming like all 4 of your top 14 don't like get hurt at the same time, which we never know here anymore. But I'm trying to like come up with players who I would be not even like more so just like confident that would be like a good target for like Minnesota specifically.
Probably blue line. No.
Even then, I guess more like a
Brock Besser. Okay. Brock Nelson. Any Brock that exists?
No, you know who I want? Kirill Marchenko. Get Kirill and Kirill.
Ooh.
On the same hockey team.
Okay.
I think any team in the league would be fucking insane not to throw Columbus a ridiculous package for Marchenko. He fucking rules.
What's he getting paid?
I think he's got 1 year left, or did they sign him to like a 2 or maybe he's got 2 years left. I think it's nothing crazy. Oh, I was looking at this a couple of days ago. I should know this off the top of my head. I want to say it's like 4 point something, maybe, or am I making that up? You would think that I would have that off ready. Yeah, 3.85 through 2027. So I guess they just signed. But 24, 6'3", 200 pounds. All he does is fucking snipe. 16 points in 17 games this year. 23 goals in 78 games last year. The year before that, 21 goals in 59 games. Like, he's just a weapon. And Columbus is going nowhere fast. But, I mean, he is in that age group, the age bracket where it's like, ideally, he's going to be doing this for another 4 or 5 years, and by then they're going to be ideally wanting to be like competing at least for like playoff runs and stuff. So I'm sure they want to not trade him, obviously, but he has been ridiculously good on a horrible hockey team since he came over to the NHL. And even when like his last couple of years with Ska in the KHL, he was getting the fucking like scratch or 12-second games, and he was still like half a goal per game guy. Like, he's been ridiculous. So I think like any team that needs scoring would be crazy to not throw a legit package for him, considering, I mean, he's making 3.85 through 2027. So I mean, that tells me that Columbus is like, fuck off. But if someone throws them a real good package, I think whoever is doing that makes a ton of sense. And maybe Columbus thinks about it, but that probably takes Minnesota out of the equation there, I guess.
So Rossi, Freddie, couple other things for him and Juracek. I'm in.
Dean would run to Minnesota. He would literally run on foot to pick up Freddie and just carry him like
it's like Billy being like, "Can I take the PJ?" He's like, "Yo, Don, I'm just gonna run." Harry, feels like you're running an incredible rate.
And and just bring this back to an earlier topic. I saw a quote from like 2 days ago that like Don Waddell on the Columbus broadcast was like, we're hoping to have the Juracek situation figured out in the next few like days.
Friedman said in the next week he thinks Columbus will have the Juracek situation figured out. I don't know if that means they're like figuring out if he's like AHL,
at this point, Juracek. If you're Juracek, you've already talked shit. I kind of see that headline, and if I'm Juracek, I'm like, oh, you think so? You think so? I actually want to sign an 8-year deal. So what do you want to do now, motherfuckers?
Man. All right. Well, thank you, Barrel Theory, as always, for sponsoring Keyboard Warriors, the hot take segment. This one a little bit juicier than usual. I'm sure we'll have totally sane comments in the comment section when this segment hits YouTube solo. Well, Z, now we are wrapping up. There's one thing I for sure got to hit on, and then we can hit anything that perhaps you think we've missed. But Creepy Colors, who's a new one that's been commenting a bit today. Welcome, Creepy Colors with a Z. That clearly one of your people. They asked, what's the story of the Pitlick jersey? And I have to address this one just because it's such a fun one for me. First, we love Rem Pitlick. It's funny because like I loved him as a Gopher. Z made me love him more when the Wild claimed him off waivers and Z just started gushing. I'm like, I knew he was good. I didn't realize he was this good. And like, sure enough, like you see the little subtleties to his game and like the skill is 100% there. It's always been there. And actually Eric Vigo, who will be on Fellowship of the Rink this week, talking Gopher hockey, said he's never seen a better practice player than Rem Pitlick. Comes to Minnesota for a very short stint, and they're playing in Seattle. And I believe Isha and I was it Isha and I, or maybe it was you and I? Maybe it was a Wednesday night game. We were recording Judd'z Budz, and I don't know what stream it was, but we're watching the game, and everyone is commenting after Rem scores his second goal. They're like, if he gets a hat trick, you have to buy the jersey. I'm like, I'll commit to that. Sure, let's go. He gets the hat trick. I bought the white jersey because they were on the road in Seattle. I had to buy the exact same jersey. And our good friends at 10K Takes, shout out Boss Man Jack for inviting us out for Bill Guerin's pre-season address, basically. It was like 4th or 5th game of the season. It was like a Monday night Colorado Avalanche game. Got to go out and Bill Guerin kind of addressed like the whole group of people that got these special tickets, answered a bunch of questions, and then was signing autographs afterwards. And my wife was wearing the Pitlick jersey, and you can very faintly see it to the left of the one. There's some writing there, and we got Bill Guerin to sign it. I'm sorry I waved Rem! Exclamation point. Bill Guerin. It is my most prized possession. I will never sell it, get rid of it, whatever. It's the greatest thing ever. It just such a fun story that he actually signed it that way.
Billy is like, he is the fucking best. Like, he is unbelievable. Like,
well, my words,
it was the one that was just like, yeah, I'll write it.
It's funnier though, because like, granted, like I was a little dinged up. Like we went and pre-gamed it. They were serving drinks at this thing. And so I'm like, I'm not hammered by any stretch, but like, I'm definitely like buzzing a little bit. And I was like, it would make my life if you would sign this jersey. He's like, well, fuck, if it would make your life, come over here, hurry. And he like waves her over. I'm like, God damn it, Billy. I love you. I love you so much.
He's the best, dude.
But that's just how I talk, right? I'm like, oh, it would make my life. He's like, holy shit. Well, if it would make your life, get her here now.
God, he's the best. Western Mass.
I'm just going to tell him, hey, Billy, it would make my life if you traded for Sidney Crosby. See what he does.
My hands are tied now.
He's like, buddy, it would make my fucking life too. What do you think?
Yeah, word for word.
You think I'm not trying?
He's like, what are you? Yeah, no shit, bro.
Kyle said he wants Matty Nice. I can't do that.
I don't know if Kyle knows this, but I can't. Yeah.
Oh, man. Can you imagine Matty Nice in the Wild? That sounds really fun too.
Let's just name every good player. Like, can you?
Steelers point. Oh wait, we could have drafted him. Fuck you, Louis Belpedio. Hintz. Nylander. That's the only other one that I love. Cooley, but no. We're honestly more likely to get Crosby than Logan Cooley. How weird is that to say?
Yeah, I mean, am
I wrong?
No. The only other thing I wanted to mention was
Sergei Zholtok. Nice.
That's a great jersey. Real quick, Jonah Gadjevich quickly became my favorite fighter in the league with 2 outrageously beautiful, incredible, violent fights this week. First one against Brendan Dillon, where he won the fight despite having the jersey over his head.
That was good. The
last absolute bomb that he landed while blind, I thought he knocked Brendan Dillon out. And then Curtis McDermott, who is another one of the scariest human beings. That's a
scarier one, honestly.
Exactly. And again, jersey over his head. And I think he may have landed 7 absolute bombs on McDermott with the jersey over his head. He rocks when he, like, every fight that he gets in, it's like, I don't think I've seen him have like a real just like, one guy made 2 punch or connected on 2, one guy slips or whatever. Every time he fights, it is old school, like no defense, rock 'em, sock 'em, incredible. But those 2 this week, I was on my feet. I fist pumped by myself watching it. It was incredible. But that Brendan Dillon fight was, I think someone had the unofficial counter. It was like 37 punches landed. It was like, oh my God. And like, imagine being Brendan Dillon. And I mean, I think he landed like 12 himself, and he's still just getting lit up in the face by a guy who can't see him. He's gonna be like, what the fuck, man? And then he just eats that last one and just got planted. 2 phenomenal fights. Shout out Jonah Gadjevich. At least wanted to mention those 2 because it was they were.
Yeah,
I was like, we're so back.
Now I got to ask you, Z. Do you recall who my favorite fighter is? Hint, and it's a little bit of a deceptive hint, but is a former Boston Bruin. Most probably wouldn't think Bruins though for this player.
Your favorite fighter?
Yeah, we've talked about a specific sequence of fights that basically cemented him being my favorite fighter. He was on the losing effort against the St. Louis Blues, and that should probably give it away. Especially if I emphasize St. Louis Blues.
I don't know. We've talked about this before?
I guess we'll see once I mention it here, but we've talked about it multiple times, I thought. David Backes?
We never talked about it on here before anyway.
We haven't talked on here about him literally 3 consecutive games in 4 days, beating the shit out of 3 different Team Canada players before the Olympics. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, well, I think maybe we did. Because when they were on, at that point, it was still 31 thoughts. And he was like, yeah, no, that's why I did it. We're like, holy shit.
No, 100%. But that I knew it, but hearing him say it was awesome. But no, it was, I don't remember the exact order, but it was Perry, Nash, Taves, which only one of those was absolutely a non-contest because Taves is a pussy. But Perry and Nash were interesting fights, but he won all 3 of them. And it was literally, I think it was a 4-day span of those 3 games. And it was like right after the rosters were announced. I'm like, he's the Canuck Slayer. I love this. It was so fun.
I love that he was like, yeah, I did it because I knew we were gonna play. Like he was like, yeah, we're gonna go up against him in the Olympics, and so I just wanted to set the tone. And I was like, holy shit, it's like that rules.
Mateo, I need to correct you. 3rd finest because yes, Ryan Carter exists and his phenomenal hair, and it's actually funny, Z. Whenever the games are on and I like point them out to my wife, I'm like, can you see a single strand out of place?
You can't.
One time there were a couple strands out of place that I noticed and I almost went and commented. I'm like, I'm going to leave it alone.
That would be a fucked up thing to do.
I left it alone, but I actually pointed out to her now, can you spot a single strand out of place? She's like, I can't. But no, the greatest alum of Mankato is Teddy Bluger.
Yeah, that one hurts. Well, for you.
Oh, that one? No, I'm going to go with McCann or Marino or anything that fucking dipshit Ronnie Textall moron did. He ruined the Penguins. It's too bad. I don't think they would have won another cup, but they would have at least been contending. Like they would
absolutely not be where they would be so far from what they are now.
So far from what they are now. And dude, even going back though to the last playoff appearance they had, they should have beaten the Rangers that series. They had Louis Domingue for 4 out of 7 games, and they still should have won. The Rangers were scumbags and took ridiculous cheap shots, and they still should have won. But since then,
was that
I have
series
no
3-1? Were they up 3-1 in that series? They were up 2-1. I know that.
They were up 2-1. I don't remember if
maybe
it went
they blew game 4,
went
maybe
2-3-2, but I know Penguins were trailing at either juncture. But like the Rangers were a good team, but like the Penguins were working them.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I remember, I remember tweeting
goalie.
out. I think it was like midway through game 3. I remember tweeting out, and midway through the tweet that I tweeted midway through game 3. I was like, I shouldn't hit send on this because it's gonna make me look dumb. But I remember word for word, it was like anyone that thought the Rangers had a chance in this series of a moron.
In fairness, they shouldn't have had a chance. They shouldn't have. They hurt everybody. Chicken wing to Crosby. A cheap shot to Raquel from fucking Lindgren, who I loved when he was a Gopher, but fuck him now because he's a Ranger.
There's never been a person that's ever bled more on the ice than Ryan Lindgren. I don't know how every game
he plays. He's a warrior.
He must be put together by duct tape at this point. Like, not only does he have the like worst luck just in terms of like he'll eat a puck, an elbow, whatever, but I mean, like, he just, whenever he decides to fight, I'm like, oh, don't do that one. Okay, you did it anyway. All right. But I swear to God, anytime anything touches his face, it's just like the skin's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't hold up anymore. And like he's like gushing. I'm like, oh my God, dude. I don't know how he's even skating anymore. But like I think he's injured every single part of his body without missing like substantial amounts of time to injury. He is drafted by the Bruins, a great trade. But it was reasonable at the time. I've just never seen a hockey player just fucking have worse luck in terms of like not necessarily injuries, but like getting hurt and just bleeding everywhere. It's insane. Like one scrum, he comes out and he's like bleeding from like both fucking eyeballs. Like what happened in there? What is going on? Yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
Yeah. Well, pretty solid night of recording. We're on track for most of the way. Anyone that's listening on audio, hopefully Isha trimmed out the hot takes portion, which means you need to go over, subscribe, 5 stars, Fellowship of the Rink. If you want to hear Z, which I thought we had 5 pretty interesting hot takes to debate. Otherwise, do the thing. Subscribe, 5 stars to Judd'z Budz, Judd'_Z, Budz. That's right. There's a separate feed. Please follow. We appreciate it. But otherwise, I don't know, Z. I already had the movie quote earlier, so I don't think there's anything else I should say at this point, unless you've got a good movie quote. Nope, or should I just repeat the one from earlier?
I sure don't. Next week, we should do an actual full roundup, though.
Hey, maybe we should. I know we always say that we will, and then we don't. So.
Yeah, I know. We should, though. Especially.
We should. It'd be ideal.
We said at the start of this one, we're like, pretty prospect heavy. It was like, we didn't.
Yeah. Well, I bet if you proposed a game of Quidditch, he'd come in his pants.
God, you did it again. End it.
It's wrong if we don't end it that way. Oh, he's got the shirt, sturdy wings. Here we go. Now we end it.